Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Jessica. Before I begin, please don't forget to subscribe or like this video if you like this type of content. Let's get to it. I recently had a revelation where people pleasing impacted me in a negative way. Since I've had that revelation, I feel that I've been led to share why it doesn't help you in any way, especially if it goes against your will and what your life is intended to be headed towards. So I have a few tips that'll help you overcome that people pleasing mentality if you struggle with that just as much as I did. So for those who may not know, people pleasing is when you just want to do what others accept you for. As people pleasers, it's easier to avoid conflict. It's easier to just agree what people are saying and go against your own beliefs simply because you just want that relationship to continue. However, while we're avoiding conflict, we're hurting ourselves in the long run because we're not being vocal of what we really truly need. We're simply just being yes men to people that are in our lives. And there comes a point where you're just gonna hate yourself simply because you continue to agree with other people, you continue to do other things that are not aligned with your will. You begin to put up this mask that you're somebody else that you're really not, and it takes you away from who you truly are. And so you tend to have misery in yourself because you don't know how to be authentic. You don't know how to build healthy boundaries, free to not do the things that other people are leading you towards. And so you avoid conflict, you avoid confrontation. We can build this habit simply because our parents can put that in us, or influences or people around us. A lot of times our parents can find it disrespectful if you go against what they believe. And if you were raised that way and you believe that everybody that's older than you have to agree to what they say, just remember that at the end of the day, you don't really know what people's intentions are, or you don't even know where their path is led. However, if you know that it's in your heart that you don't feel right about something, it doesn't feel right, it's not you, it's not part of who you are, you got to learn to speak up. You got to learn to say something about that. They only know what they know and what they've gone through in their experiences, but they don't understand that everybody's experience is different. Everybody's needs are different. And so if your need is not met with somebody and you're just simply just continuing to say yes to them, it's only going to hinder you from growing. It's only going to hinder you from your own will, because you're pulling yourself away from what you're intended to be doing. You have to face yourself every day. We think that we're doing the right thing simply by agreeing with what they're saying, simply by doing what they're doing. However, if it's not in your will, then it doesn't work for you. And so you got to learn to speak up. You got to be okay with being confrontational with what you need. And it sucks because it's like you just want to love people for how they are, and you want to be able to agree with them and be in good standing with people. But sometimes you have to be okay with being a villain. Like, you have to be okay with being the bad guy sometimes. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just a moment. And as long as your needs are being met, and as long as you are okay with what you've done and agreed to or compromised with, like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world or end all be all. Like, the relationship can still continue if the other person sees it as a healthy boundary for you and they would like to meet your needs. Now, if they don't, then that's something that you've got to learn to deal with on your own, or you've got to learn to manage that relationship differently. At the end of the day, the goal is to not avoid conflict. Just be vocal about what you feel or what you think is right for you. I know that it can lead to being uncomfortable with disagreeing, like having that little moment of chaoticness. You have to be comfortable doing that often, especially when people are stepping over your boundaries or stepping over your beliefs, and you know that it's right for you and it's the truth for you. Especially as followers of Christ, a lot of people don't understand what you're going through. A lot of people may not understand what you're going through, or don't even care to understand what you're going through, because it's a different world when you are aiming to do right. It's a different world when you're aiming to fulfill your will. It's a different world when you're living in good standing with the Lord. It's different than what the world tries to put onto us. It goes totally against what the world tries to put onto us. However, we just have to stand firm and believe that this is what we know our calling is, and this is what we stand for. Be okay with being the advocate for yourself. Everybody's just doing what they need to do for themselves, and it's important that you create those boundaries for yourself as well. Like, we cannot keep everybody here. I've learned to say, I don't want everybody to like me. You watching me on the screen may not agree with what I'm saying, and that is okay. I don't need you to like me. I don't need your validation. I am grateful to have your attention. I am grateful that you are here. I enjoy that you take the time to have these self-development moments and want to learn and be eager to get closer to God. And I love that for you. However, I cannot sit here and please everybody who's watching me on the screen. I just need to continue to work with what I believe is true and be okay with that, because I'm not here to please everybody. Everybody does not have to like the way I am or what I say. However, I'm okay with what I say clearly because I put it out, knowing that there's going to be people who may disagree, and that is okay. And as people pleasers, we may not know that certain things that we agree to can hinder us in the long run, can eventually show up later on. Also, people pleasing tend to lower your self-esteem because you're just doing what others want you to do. Like, you're never walking in confidence with what your calling is because you're so focused, or you're so willing to look at other people and see how can you help them so that they can like you, or they can be around you for whatever reasons you want their validation. But trust me, it's only gonna push you back more and more every time. There's been times when I've not done certain things as well because I didn't want to lose a relationship. I didn't want to lose a person in my life. But now that I've learned that, like, I don't care who I lose, how many people I lose. At the end of the day, as long as I'm okay with me and I'm okay with where I'm at and I'm okay with Christ, I don't care about what relationships fall out. There's actually a chapter in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, that says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul." So it's fear them that can kill the body. Anybody can kill you. Like, let's be honest. We know that. We've seen it on the news. You can see it on your social media platform. Like, you can see this anywhere. Other people that you may be so afraid to disagree with, or may be so afraid to turn against, all they can really do is just kill you. But they cannot tell where your soul is going to go. I'm here to protect my soul. Like, I'm here to protect my well-being in Christ. I'm not here to protect my body, is my flesh. Like, that's of the world. But the soul that I have inside of me, the heart that is inside of me, God sees that. And if you don't understand that, you have to learn to create boundaries. You're going to allow them to take your soul. Because when you're so focused on the world and so focused on pleasing people, you're losing yourself. You're basically selling your soul at that point for other people, because you're allowing other people to dictate how your will or how your life goes, when we're intended to live our life for Christ. And there's people that this is honestly how they live by. If you look back into Martin Luther King's life, he was where he's at because he was okay with knowing that they can kill his body, but he did not allow himself to be stopped and do his calling, because he knew he had a bigger purpose and he knew what God had for him. Same thing with Malcolm X. Like, these people, they lived a life that was true to them. No matter what happened to them, they didn't allow the world to influence their decisions. They walked and stood firm with what they believed. And this is how we have to walk as well. And same thing with Jesus. They killed him. However, they didn't take his soul, because he knew, for one, that this was a part of God's plan, but he knew that he needed to stand firm in something, and that wasn't to stand firm in God. And he did. And thankfully, because of that, we have God's grace and we have God's mercy. As we progress, as we get better with this, we're going to walk more in authenticity with who we are in our beliefs versus what others think we should be. And so it's important that you are more authentic with yourself than trying to please others, because it doesn't get you anywhere. As you begin to continue to want to please others, you will come into moments where you are going to have anger build up, because you're going to feel like your needs are not met. And oftentimes I found myself in that anger, and I felt that I could only blame myself. And I knew I could only blame myself was because I wasn't being vocal about what I felt I needed. I wasn't being vocal about what I needed in the moment. And so if you find yourself bursting in anger, that is not good whatsoever, because that just means you're not walking in your will. When you're walking in your will with God, you're in peace, you're in love, you're in joy, no matter what you're going through, no matter what's in front of you, because you know whose you are and who you are. But if you don't walk in who you are and whose you are, then you're just going to fall for anything. Anything anybody tells you, you're going to believe it. And it's time that you get up. It's time that you do stuff for yourself. It's time that you seek the light and the truth of who you really are, and stop trying to please people. Stop. You got to do things for yourself, especially, when you're young. I understand our parents respect them to a certain extent. However, once you meet that mark to say, I no longer need your validation. I no longer need you to tell me what is right and what is wrong. I want to be able to judge that for myself. And you make mistakes along the way, and that is okay, because as long as you know you made those mistakes on your own and not somebody else made those mistakes for you. And that's a lesson I had to learn. I have a PDF for a prayer journal. If you guys like to download that PDF, it's in the description below. You could use that. Like, remove some of these things. Ask God to remove some of these things. Like, be okay with being a villain in somebody's life. Be okay and comfortable with disagreeing. Ask God to give you that wisdom so that you can understand your truest beliefs and your values, and so that you can ask God to give you the strength that you need so you can stand firm on your beliefs. Pray for resources that you could use to help strengthen that confidence within yourself. Pray for people that in your life that are going to understand where you're coming from. Pray for community, pray for support. And trust me, the right people will come along the way. God doesn't want you to go against your own beliefs. That's a sin within itself. You really have to learn to stand firm with what you believe. Don't go against your own beliefs. Walk in confidence of who you are. Pray that God gives you the revelations that you need so that you can continue to walk in confidence, so that you don't make mistakes of pleasing others and hurting yourself. Seek that wisdom from God. Prayer journals in the description below. This can help you really ask God for wisdom, discernment on what you need in your life so that you can overcome pleasing others. We don't have to please anybody but ourselves. We're with ourselves 24/7. As we know, there's a time and a place for everything. You have to learn when that time and place is. That is all I have for you guys today. If you find this video useful, please don't forget to subscribe or like this video. I will see you guys in the next video.